between west and I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. See the light in the darkness as the darkness fast in. I can hear the rock in the heavens as the space between west and I can hear the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come what may in the space between these things that see and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. I know I will never be alone. Be another in the fire, standing next to me. Be another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding what you've been to me? Comes the joy, come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy, come every battle. darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't feel that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Hi guys, I'm Sam Laszlo and I wanted to talk to you guys today about moving faithfully forward into finding hope in Jesus. And I thought I would start off by sharing my story of how I found hope in Jesus at a young age. So I didn't always grow up in church. I didn't really go like ever. That just wasn't a part of my life as a kid. We were kind of like the party house, and we were just kind of known for being like the really fun people that were just fine with whatever, and that was just kind of who we were. Like God just was never a part of my life as a kid. And so the biggest thing in my life at that time was my relationship with my dad. It was kind of messy. A lot of you probably know my dad. He's the tall, bald guy, and he's really loud. But before he knew Jesus, he wasn't always like that. He looked really put together from the outside, and he seemed like he was super happy. He always made everyone laugh and stuff like that, but he was really, really broken, and he was really struggling, but he was just pretty good at hiding it behind closed doors. So my dad had pretty much tried everything that the world had to offer, and he just found himself unsatisfied like all the time, and it got to a point where he turned to alcohol, and he had a really bad drinking problem when I was a kid, and it had a really big impact on me and the way I saw like everything around me. So he would get really, really drunk a lot of the time, and when he was drunk he would get really angry and therefore say a lot of things to me and my mom and my sister, which Nicole doesn't remember it as much because she was younger than I was, but that really just like impacted the way I thought, and I was always just kind of living in fear of like tiptoeing around my dad. Like I couldn't do anything wrong because I was so afraid to make him upset, and I was just like afraid. Like if he was drinking, I knew like I had to be afraid because I didn't know, even if I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't know if I was gonna accidentally upset him or set him off or anything like that. And it was just a really scary way to live as a kid because I just felt like I couldn't trust him all the time. So My dad like never ever gets sick. And so one day when I was 9 years old, he came down with really bad pneumonia to the point where he had to be bedridden. And so he was stuck in his bed for, I think it was like 5 days. He had to stay in his bed. And my dad's a really like get up and go at him kind of guy. Like he just wants to be doing something all the time. And so having to like sit still and be in one place like alone with his thoughts for that long was really different for him. And I didn't find this out till later, but I guess he had gotten to a point where he was so like upset with himself for like the way he was treating like our family and the things he was saying and the impact that his drinking problem had on the rest of us, that he was actually to the point where he was genuinely considering taking his own life. And I didn't know that when I was younger. I found that out when I was a little bit older. But that just goes to show you like how dark of a place that my dad was in. Like he was genuinely considering that. And so whenever he was stuck alone in his bed, that's all he was thinking about is like, hey, maybe the sickness will just take me and like I'll stop hurting my family. And he was just so angry with himself for destroying his relationships with his kids and his wife. And he was just in a really, really bad place when he got sick. But now we know that that was from God, the fact that he got sick, because God definitely used that. The way my dad described it was one day, I think it was one of the last few days, he was laying in his bed and he said he felt like this presence, like something was in the room with him, and it was just like warm and peaceful, and he hadn't like ever felt anything like that before. But he knew who it was, because he just had a feeling and he knew that that was God. And he heard him say, "Son, come home." And my dad, not wanting anything to do with God, started like cursing him out and like just getting really angry and like violent. And he was super upset that he was like saying things like, "God, why are you showing up now? Like, why now? Like, I don't want you right now." And then he said he heard it one more time and he said, "Son, come home." And he just like stopped, and it's like he froze, because he knew that God was calling him and he needed to make a change, and he was not living the way that he was called to live, or the life that he was called to live, and he needed to start pursuing a relationship with Christ. And so I remember this pretty vividly, even though I was young. I was 9, but he came downstairs. My mom got mad because he wasn't supposed to be out of his bed, and he walked up to me and my mom and he was like, "We need to go to church." And I was like, "What?" Like, we didn't go to church. That's not something we did. Like, I'd been maybe once on Christmas at some point in my life, but he told us we needed to go to church. And my mom was like, "I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I think something's wrong. Like, you're sick. You're probably kind of out of your mind right now." And he was like, "No, we need to go to church." And so that next Sunday, my mom didn't want to come, but he took me and my little sister to this church in my old town, because I used to live in Illinois. And he dropped us off at the kids' church and he went to like the normal service. And I remember being super, super weirded out, but like also happy at the same time, because like everyone there was really nice to me for no reason, even though they had never met me. They didn't know me, they didn't know my sister, but they were just like loving on us and like treating us really well. And I was kind of confused, and I was like, why are they being so nice? Like, they don't know who I am. They don't have to be nice to me. But like there was just such an atmosphere of like love and joy in this place that I had like never experienced before. And that was really cool for me to see as a kid. And I was like, okay, there's something's different here. Like, I need to find out what this different is. And so then we came home, and me and Nicole told my dad that we liked it there. So he said, "Good, we're going to go back next week." And so then the next Sunday we went back to church, and then we started going week after week after week, and eventually my mom started coming too, because my dad couldn't stop talking about it. And on July 17th, 2011, my dad gave his life to Jesus. And the change in my dad that I saw was so sudden that there was no explanation besides the fact that it was completely and 100% God. And it took me a while to understand that, because I just saw this guy that I had lived in fear of for so long, like suddenly have this joy in him that I didn't even understand. And it blew me away as a kid, because I was just baffled by the fact that this guy that I was afraid of was suddenly so loving and joyful all the time, and I just saw this like light around him all the time. And so I kept going to church, and I kept seeing this difference in my dad and this progressive change and joy. And then one day, it was in August of 2011, I was at kids' church and they had an altar call, and they had told me about this man named Jesus and about how amazing he was and what he did for me, and it blew my mind that someone would die for me and like defeat death and go through all that pain for me, and that I was worth that much to him, and about how he could change your life. And it suddenly clicked in my head, and I was like, this is the guy that changed my dad. And then I was like, I want that. Like, I want to be changed like he was changed. Like, I want that joy. I want that light. I want the love that this man died for me. And so we had a little altar call in kids' church and stuff, and I went up there and I talked to one of the leaders, and they asked me why I wanted to follow Jesus, and I said, because I've seen what he can do. Because I saw the incredible change in my own family and the healing that had begun to take place because of the hope that my dad had found in the Lord and the joy that was surrounding him. And so on that day, I gave my life to Jesus. I was 9 years old, and I've been living for him ever since, and living my whole life to glorify him. And just the change that I've seen in my family and the healing between my relationship with my dad, my mom's relationship with my dad, my sister's relationship with my dad has been incredible. And there's no explanation for it other than the grace of God, because like we were broken. Like, my family was broken, and we needed a savior, and he came in and saved us all. And my mom and my sister got saved shortly after me and my dad did. And the craziest part of all of this is that my dad's alcohol problem was so bad that he wasn't technically an alcoholic, but he was like right there. Like, he was borderline alcoholic, and it wasn't like necessarily immediately, but it was like within the next few weeks after him getting saved, he like stopped drinking. He's been completely sober, and that was the biggest thing for our family, is just that like toxicity that alcohol had brought into my life was completely gone. And like, I don't know how many of you guys know, but like, if someone's almost an alcoholic or is an alcoholic, it's kind of impossible for them to just stop drinking altogether. And that was completely 100% the Lord, because that's near impossible, but obviously nothing's impossible with God. So after giving my life to Jesus and seeing the healing in my family, I just began to like live my life completely differently, and I felt like I had a purpose other than tiptoeing around my dad's anger. I wanted others to experience what I had experienced and feel the love, the overwhelming love and the hope and the joy that Jesus had given me and my family. And a big thing for me has always been just like positivity, because like people can see Jesus in you. And it's not just like something people say because they're like, oh, there's some like mystical light or something. Like, it's a real thing. Like, when you walk in his presence and in joy and in the peace that he offers you, like, people can see that. Like, that's real. Because I saw it when I went to church, and I saw this overwhelming sense of love and light around these people, and I didn't even know them. So like, you can show people in your life that don't necessarily know the Lord or walk with him, like how amazing his love is, just by living in his joy and his presence and his peace and the hope that he's given each one of us in salvation in him, because he's offering his grace to everyone. It's not just the broken people. It's not just people that have everything put together. It's everybody. And I thought that connected really well to our topic for this year, Faithfully Forward. In the verse, it says that God is faithful always, and that really stuck out to me because he's faithful even when things look impossible. So the biggest thing in my relationship with Jesus has just been like joy and finding my joy in him, because that's just kind of the thing that started all, was seeing this incredible joy in my dad and seeing the joy in the people that I met at church, and just that's always just been my big connection with the Lord, is just finding my joy in Him, because that's how He found me. And I have a verse that I kind of live by. It's super simple. It's just 2 words. It's 1 Thessalonians 5:16. It says, "Rejoice always." And it's so simple, but it's so incredibly important, because like we have an amazing opportunity to be able to show that joy to people. And that's what God calls us to. And like the Great Commission, when He tells us to go and tell the world, like that's just one so simple way to do it, is just spread joy to the people around you, because joy is 100% from the Lord, and it's 100% something that's going to impact their lives, because it's impacted mine, it's impacted my family's, and it's so vitally important that we share that joy that Jesus has given us as His children to other people, so they can find that too and find their hope in the fact that He loves them, He died for them, and He can give them hope in a time when there seems to be none. Like, I mean, you can't really argue the fact that our world's not extremely broken right now. Not that it always has, not that it hasn't always been, but there's just so much going on right now that's so hopeless. Like with COVID and everything else, like it's hard to not have everything going as we had all planned it to go. Like my senior year is not looking anything like I had expected it to look, and I fell into a trap of being super negative about everything, and I was like, oh, it's not going to be as good, it's not going to be as fun, like it's not going to be the senior year I'd always wanted and expected to have. But like, I'm having a great time. Like my senior year has been amazing so far, because I'm choosing to look at everything positively and not in a negative way, because like I'm getting to see my friends, like I'm at school with the people I love, I'm getting to see my teachers, I'm building relationships with new people, and like that's more than I could have asked for at the beginning of this whole COVID thing. I was thinking we wouldn't even have a year, but like we're at school, we're here, we're together. So like let's make the most of it, let's be positive about it, even if things don't look the way we thought they would. Like there's always reason to have joy. Like even if we were quarantined in our houses for a million more months, like we have the Lord, and like that's so much to be joyful about, and He has given us reason after reason to be positive and happy and joyful, because He literally gave His Son for us, and we should be incredibly thankful for that and able to tell others forever about how amazing that is and the hope that He can bring to their lives. So I hope that you guys learned a lot from this, and I'm just gonna pray us out really quick, and I hope that the Lord used what I had to say in my story to impact y'all's hearts. Dear Jesus, I thank You so much for today, and that You've given me this opportunity to speak to the students and the teachers of OCS, and I pray that You'd use the amazing things that You've done in my life for me and my family to speak into their hearts and remind them of the amazing joy that they have in You, and to share that joy with the people around them who need You right now, and to be positive in these times when everything seems hopeless. In Your name, amen. Thank you guys so much.